Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so that was it. Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to give them a tap, tap, tap on the door?
No,
Oh,
they
hopefully he
know.
knows the time, so, yeah. Thank you, though. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Committee of Infrastructure. This meeting of the committee is being held Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, at 7 p.m. In the automatic chamber, and duly noted in 2 places, including the city's websites, and according with the requirements of RSA 91-A:2, Roman numeral 2. And a roll call will be taken by members of the committee. Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Gregg.
I'm here. I have to join via Zoom because I'm at home recovering from surgery. I'm by myself. I can hear everybody there, but nobody can hear here.
Okay, very good. All right, all members are present. So that gives us 5. And also in attendance is Mr. Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director, and Camille Correa, the Transit Administrator. And so, oh yes, and Alderman Clee has joined us. So. All right, let's jump right into it. We'll open up the public hearing on the proposed fare increase for the Nashua Transit System. And for now, do you want to step forward, Mr. Sullivan, and give us an introduction?
Sure. Mr. Chair, would you mind if we took...
No, please. And
I was going to suggest that.
yeah. When you're ready, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Matt Sullivan, Community Development Division Director, and I'm joined this evening by Camille Correa, the Transit Administrator and the subject matter expert on behalf of Nashua Transit System. I just want to thank the committee members first for entertaining our presentation tonight. We'll try to be brief prior to opening the public hearing, though I don't see many folks in the audience, which I hope, frankly, is a sign that and a testament to the fact that Ms. Correa and her team have done such a wonderful job advertising and talking to the public about these changes. But nonetheless, we look forward to the conversation tonight and talking a little bit about how we got here and actually hearkening back to a presentation that we gave to the committee several months ago. You may recall that in late 2025, and we're happy to share this presentation with committee members, we both joined you to talk a little bit about some of the challenges facing the Nashua Transit System, some of the exciting things happening moving forward within NTS. And we sort of, I think, tipped at that point in time that there might be some actions coming forward in the coming years that we would be specifically putting in place relative to responding to shortfalls in funding that we're seeing at the federal government, state government, and at other levels. And so we're here before you this evening to talk about one of those options that we had presented, and that is changes to the fares that riders of Nashua Transit System actually pay right now. And Mr. Chair, if I could maybe call up the presentation if possible, just as we go along, and it's a PDF there. I certainly don't want to present Mr. Lemire's update on the parking garages.
Move forward. Can you help me find?
Absolutely, sure.
I'll do it.
Yep. All right.
Did you put it on the desktop?
It's
Yeah,
actually
it's on.
open right in the, perfect.
No, that's the garage.
Try the next one.
Oh, it's the Adobe one?
Yeah,
that's right.
it.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So by way of brief background, as I mentioned before, Nashua Transit System operates in the context of a very complicated budget. Its funding sources are not only the city of Nashua as a portion, but also the federal government, state government, and then there are other funding sources that are actually injected to form our total budget of between $4 and $5 million as it stands right now. One of the challenges over recent years, and we discussed this in late 2025, is that The costs of providing the service have gone up exponentially in recent years, particularly since we emerged from COVID. Ridership has rebounded, which is fantastic, and we're very happy to see that. And I think, again, it's thanks to the efforts of Administrator Correa. But the costs of services have really gone up, again, exponentially, and we've struggled to keep pace with that. For those that may be newer to the board, back 2 years ago, as part of the annual operating budget process, we actually doubled the city's allocation to the NTS budget. So at the time, the city paid about $450,000 to NTS's operating budget out of that $4 to $4.5 million. You actually doubled that allocation up to about $800,000, and you did that after careful consideration and conversation, and really, I think, frankly, a crisis analysis after talking to Camille and myself about what would face NTS should that funding not be increased. At that point in time, we didn't want to make any commitments, but what we represented that there would likely be modifications to service, frankly, reductions, in the event that the city did not increase its allocation. And I want to be really clear that we have tried not to be the boy who cries wolf, if you will, about these challenges. We have tried not to come to the Board of Aldermen and certainly tried not to modify fares unless absolutely necessary. That said, and we'll emphasize this several times this evening, we do not want at any time to imply that if this fare increase does not pass, that reductions in service will happen immediately. We also do not want to imply that these fare increases will solve the Nashua Transit System funding puzzle long term, because neither of those, frankly, would be true. What we are going to talk about this evening, and what we've represented, I think, to the board and to the public consistently, is that there are going to be multiple strategies that the city needs to employ in order to ensure that the current service that's operating can continue as long as possible. Increasing fares is one of those options. And so I'm going to jump a little bit here to say that if you ask us this evening, what is the impact of this change? We're not talking about millions of dollars of increased profits. We're talking about anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 of increased revenue, depending upon what our ridership actually looks like. But as we've said in the past, and as I've said already this evening, it's going to be multiple solutions, multiple Band-Aids to fix the many challenges we have funding public transit. So I just wanted to be clear about that before we get into it. So to that end, just to sort of reiterate some of the points made on this slide, really we're bringing this change forward in order to ensure that the current service remains as stable as possible, to keep up with operational costs that we've seen, not just with our contracted services, but with keeping up with our fleet, keeping up with our facilities, and generally weathering increasing costs of operation. And we hope that an increase in the fares at this time will help us, at least to some extent, mitigate some of the uncertainty that exists around federal, state, and local transportation funding. Here again, it's no secret to folks around the table that back in late 2025 during the federal shutdown, we had questions about the long-term viability of FTA funding. We always have questions when it comes to the state budget as to what NHDOT is going to be able to contribute to NTS operational services. Increasing fares helps us weather that storm to some extent. It does not solve the problem, but we hope it helps weather. And lastly, I just want to point out, and Camille is far better equipped to answer most of your questions this evening, not to put her in the hot seat, but additional fare revenues do give us the ability to provide enhanced matching support for other grants that we apply for. When I reference other monies coming in, state and federal, those are actually grants that we apply for. Some of them are formula grants that we are, I don't want to say guaranteed, but we are equipped to receive based on our transit system as it exists today. But some grants are in fact competitive, and we need to have matching funding available, and increasing fares and the fare box monies that we would collect will put us in a better position to actually do that. So just a brief note on process, and I'll talk a little bit about public input before passing to Camille. Sort of a process piece of interest is that how a fare increase is adopted in the city of Nashua is a bit unclear. This isn't spelled out in our revised ordinances. There's a variety of different ways in the past how this has been handled, but what we've identified as a successful strategy, and we hope you agree, is we conducted a robust public outreach effort involving riders, involving social media, involving public meetings, involving one-on-one conversations, meeting with agencies. I really am proud and really thankful for Camille and her team's efforts on this front. So I'm hoping that most folks are aware of this already. But relative to the formal adoption process, what we're putting forward Rather than a piece of legislation which didn't feel like the right vessel here, what we're in fact proposing is that there be a public hearing this evening. We hear this committee's feedback. We consider whether or not there is an interest in proceeding with the fare increases. And we would actually prepare a communication for aldermanic consideration and a vote at a subsequent meeting, hopefully the next meeting, depending upon the feedback that we hear this evening. We'll be in attendance at that meeting should there be questions or concerns that arise. We certainly don't want to in any way take away the public engagement piece, but we also looked back at past processes and determined that a piece of legislation was not the appropriate way to handle this. And so we're doing a public hearing combined with a communication. But before we get into the actual proposal, I just wanted to touch briefly on really, again, something that I take very little credit for, but something I think we should all be proud of, and that is that over the past 3 to 6 months, and frankly even earlier than that, we've done substantial public outreach about the proposed fare increases, both before what we knew we were proposing and then after we knew what was being proposed. So that included posting everywhere, not just at buses and at the transit center. I was just looking at posters out here next to the mayor's office. Basically anything with a wall or a surface that tape can stick to in the public eye or where we thought riders would view these notice of changes, we posted. Further, we had meetings both at City Hall and at the library. And I should mention these were both at nighttime and during the daytime in the interest of being as accessible as possible. And then I think Camille and others at NTS took direct calls as often as they could, talking to folks about what these changes might mean for them as riders or what the changes might mean for their family. We met with senior housing folks. We met with some of these agencies that actually buy passes for their riders. We went out in newsletters from public health and with community development. And then lastly, and most importantly, we did a direct survey with riders because we really needed to understand the impacts of what these changes would be. And so I wanted to just talk quickly about what we found. Certainly, folks do recognize a personal price ceiling. Folks have a spending limit. They have an ability that they can actually, or financial ability to either pay or not pay for a given fare. What we found is that most respondents, as the slide said that the maximum they're willing to pay is $2 for a regular adult fare and $1 for reduced fare. Now, to be clear, we gave options here, and Camille, correct me if I get any of this wrong. They didn't select that $2 number out of the middle of thin air. We actually proposed options to them, some very extreme, of course, and then some down near this $2 range. As far as potential impact and whether folks would actually ride the service, we found that most folks said they would still continue to ride. And frankly, I want to be really clear here, that's out of necessity. These folks need to ride the bus. So I don't want to pretend that folks have an option whether to take a personal vehicle in all situations. That's not the case. But what we found is if the fare was doubled up to $2.50 or $2, many of our existing riders would continue to ride, which represents the ability of folks to weather this pricing increase to some extent. We wanted to make sure we were sort of right-sizing what we were proposing. Now, one thing we felt we had to explain is that most respondents did want to see service expanded if fares were increased. And, it's very difficult to justify a fare increase when you're not offering more stops, more routes, Sunday service, later service, earlier service. Obviously, folks wanted to see enhanced offerings, and that's not something we're in a position to offer today. Camille and her team work really hard, though, to literally move stops around to accommodate riders. We've modified routes to accommodate serving certain populations over time. We do what we can within our existing structure, but the idea of adding capacity is something that's not on the table right now for NTS based on our financial constraints. But the flip side of that is most riders, frankly, nearly all, do not want to see a reduction in service. So they need the service that we have today. And so in our minds, as we're looking at potentially reducing service at some point in the future, should we not increase should we not evaluate the sources of funding that are going into NTS? A reduction is not something that our riders seem to want to talk about, and I am not surprised. It's a reduction in service in our standard of care, and that's not something we'd be proud of, and not something that we're interested in doing. But this is, to be frank, I think this is either my words or Camille's words or a combination. Generally, what we found is that there's a lack of support for a fare increase unless it's absolutely necessary. But if it's necessary, the proposed changes shouldn't adversely impact service. So we're here this evening to present a fare increase proposal to you. It will not solve all of our problems, but we believe it's in the realm of acceptableness for our ridership generally. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Camille to talk a little bit about what we're proposing and some of the history around the fair as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. As Matt was talking about, we did an extensive outreach within the community. And as part of that outreach, we also went over the fare change history. In the history of Nashua Transit System, which began the fixed route service in 1984, the last fare change was in 2012 with a city bus fare increase of 25 cents from $1 to $1.25 per ride. An increase to the ADA paratransit service, 50 cents from $2 to $2.50. An increase to the senior demand response medical fare of 50 cents from $2 to $2.50, and an increase to the senior demand response non-medical fare, which increased from $2 to $5 per ride. 3 of these services are done on van service, the ADA and the senior demand response, and the city bus is the fixed route service, which is accessed at a city bus stop along a scheduled route. As part of the overview of the proposed fare changes, at the outreach meetings that we've had, in addition to the meeting that we're having this evening, and also the outreach that we had at the transit center, there was approximately 8 people that assisted us with speaking to people, talking about services, asking questions for surveys, finding out what people were interested in and knowing about, in addition to the questions that were on the survey or the questions that we were trying to answer by providing a PowerPoint presentation. And as part of that proposed fare change, when we spoke to people, we wanted to make sure that they knew what the categories were. So the increase to the adult and reduced fare categories only, and that there will be no changes to the senior ID card or the U-Pass fare programs, which are free. The senior ID card program is for persons who are 60 and older who sign up at the transit center and show a valid senior ID to show that you're 60 and older and a Nashua address. And also, youth 12 and older will now pay a reduced fare. Prior to, or actually the current fare is that the youth up to, the youth is not part of our actual reduced fare program. The reduced fare program includes persons with a disability, seniors above the age of 65 if they do not sign up for the senior ID card, veterans and honored citizens, and the youth right now up to age 18 pays 75 cents per ride. So this will be a fare change for youth 12 to 18, that they will actually have a reduced fare instead of going up in their own category. So one category for reduced fare and one category for adult fare. Under the ADA paratransit and senior demand response, there will be an increase to the ADA paratransit and senior demand response fare only. There's no changes to any contracted service that we provide to the town of Merrimack, the town of Hudson, or to the SVTC services. A little bit more about the overview on the proposed fare. Just looking at this particular slide, you can see at the bottom of each one of these categories, there is the current price, which is the non-bolded, and then the top line would be the proposed new price. So persons age 19 to 59, they currently pay $1.25, and it would increase to $2. And also, if a person purchases a ticket book, it would change from 8 rides to 10 rides, with the price change from $10 to $20. Also, anyone who uses a monthly pass would change from $40 to $50, so there would be an increase of $10. This is the most economical option in regards to riding the bus service if you ride more than a few days a week, because it would be unlimited rides during the month. Under the reduced fare, the categories would be youth 12 to 18, veterans, Medicare recipients, persons with disability, and also persons above the age of 65. The current price is 60 cents for reduced fare and 75 cents for student, and that would change to half of the price of the adult fare to $1. The ticket price would change from 8 rides to 10 rides, and the monthly pass would change from $30 to $40. And again, that would be the most economical option because it would be unlimited rides. Under the ADA paratransit, it would change 50 cents for persons who are unable to access the city bus at a fixed route stop due to a physical or mental impairment. And people can give us a call and fill out an application, and we would be able to review that application to see if the person is eligible for ADA paratransit. The old ticket book is $20 for 8 rides, and the new one would be $30 for 10 rides. Under the senior demand response, the reason why there's 2 categories is because the medical trip is a priority, then the non-medical trip is available, but is not a priority trip. And with that medical trip, the old price would be $250 and the new price would be $3. And the old ticket book is 8 rides with the new rides of 10. Under the senior demand response, the old price is $5 for the non-medical trip, and the new price would be $6, which would be twice the amount of a medical trip. And the old price for the ticket book would be $20 because you use 2 tickets. So you still buy a ticket book, but you would use 2 tickets instead of 1. Then the new price would be $30 for 5 rides. It's really 10 tickets in a book, but you would have to use 2 tickets, so that would be 5 rides. Under the pricing strategy, what we did was we evaluated the price of the other transit systems in New Hampshire as well as the MBTA, and we have found that the price increase is comparable value to some of the other systems. Also, based upon the rider input, the decisions on outreach and the respondent data and the fare engagement surveys and such, we wanted to make sure that we put into context what that comparative value to nearby agencies would be. So with the proposed fare increase, NTS would increase to $2 for an adult fare, $1 for the reduced fare, which is half of the adult fare. The price of the standard monthly pass would be $50, and the standard monthly pass to single ride value would be 25 rides. And comparing to the others nearby, MTA price of a standard fixed route right now currently is $2. The MBTA is $1.70. So that would be MTA is $2. MBTA is $1.70. Coast, which is located near Portsmouth, is $1.50. And the NTS current fare is $1.25. Coast is looking into evaluating at this time to see if they are going to do a potential increase in the near future. Also, MTA offers an all-day pass for $5, which they find is an affordable option for people who use the MTA bus to and from Manchester and within Manchester as well. We also would like to talk about some of the opportunities for affordability in general. As I had mentioned, the adult monthly pass offers a better value. Children 6 to 11 would now ride for free. This would allow for families with young children to be able to go to the store, go to places around town on the fixed route service, and be able to ride for free with a fare-paying adult. Also, partnering with local governments and nonprofit agencies, there are many opportunities within the community where the nonprofit agencies and some local government offices do buy down fares, and then people would go and sign up for or speak to the person at that particular agency to request additional tickets or to be able to request a free fare to be able to get to medical appointments or to other opportunities within the community, including work.
Can I just add something quickly, Camille, on that front? One thing that we did consider during our discussions is offering additional discounts for riders that are in specific groups or populations. Perhaps the most relevant one to the alderman right now are unhoused residents within the city of Nashua. We had a lot of conversation about that, and frankly, where we landed is that the ability to qualify someone within any of those categories, unless it's a legal designation, becomes too challenging and frankly, I would argue inappropriate for certainly NTS staff to be doing, or frankly comfortable for the individual themselves to be disclosing to NTS staff. And so we've talked a lot about that. We haven't proposed any such discounts within these fare increases, but what we do that Camille just referenced is we work very closely with area agencies like the Plus Company, Greater National Mental Health, our Public Health Department, to offer them free passes in some cases, or heavily discounted passes that they then hand out to their clientele. And so what we're trying to do there is, yes, provide a discounted rate, but also encourage individuals within any of those programs to work through those programs to get access to more affordable transportation. And so I just want to be clear that we've talked a lot about that. We have more, maybe not more exposure to those populations than public health perhaps, but Camille and her team are working regularly with them. And we try to do everything we can to make our services accessible as possible. And that option of a discounted rate was discussed, but that's why we moved away from that direction, I would say. Thank you.
We're looking at each other. Okay.
You didn't cover who was going to do the last slide, so here we are.
Yeah, so we're going to both do it. Then the next step for us is we have the public hearing right now, and of course we want to hear from anyone who is here. And then there'll be a communication to the Board of Aldermen in March for approval. And as part of the next steps, we want to make sure that we continue to do the community and rider outreach. It's very important for us to get out into the community, to work with the limited English proficiency contacts as well, including people in general that may need us to speak about this particular proposed fare increase in another language such as Spanish or French or Chinese, Portuguese, or Swahili. Those are some of the main languages that we hear at the Transit Center. We do work with the Public Health Department on an as-needed basis for the opportunity to have people to translate. And some of the people that assist us with surveys also speak other languages, so they help us with making sure that we have that one-on-one contact with people within the community. We also reached out to the Adult Learning Center, and we do presentations there. And if anyone has any suggestions as to a wider reach out into the community, we're always interested. We have a list of organizations that we speak to and also stay in contact with, so we want to make sure to broaden that and add to that list as we can. We will also, if approved, update the NTS passenger materials and website, and we'll continue to do that outreach through print media, social media, and also in person. And the planned effective date is April 6th.
Depending upon the conversation this evening, which we're really anxious for, and I know we've talked to a few of you personally, we would intend to bring a communication to the March 10th meeting of the Board of Aldermen. This is not an emergency, obviously, and so if there's a need to have more public conversation or conversation with the board, we're absolutely open to and look forward to that. So with that, Mr. Chair, we thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from the public and all of you, and appreciate the time this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee, and I see Alderman Dowd.
Just one question as chair of budget. If you don't get the approval for the fare increases, are you going to be requesting more money in your budget during the upcoming budget season? Or are you going to do both?
Mr. Chair, if I may respond to that.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, so there are a couple moving pieces there, Alderman Dowd. And to be really upfront about one of those moving pieces, right now we're in the process of soliciting proposals for a new operational contractor for Nashua Transit System. So when you hear about us, or when you hear from us at the Budget Review Committee, we hope to have a better sense of where that stands. But we have a huge unknown in our coming year budget when it comes to our transit operational contractor. Again, we hope to have that all wrapped up by the time we get to budget, but that's very much up in the air right now. I do not want to suggest that if this fare increase is not approved, that we will be asking for an increased allocation from the city of Nashua because of this. That would not be a fair statement. What is a possibility in the event that the operational cost increases are substantial, and in the event that this fare increase passes or doesn't pass, there are other forces at play that could force us for asking the Budget Committee for more than the mayor's guidance. But I want to stop right there because we are not yet decided in our conversations with the mayor about where we're headed on that. And so what I want to be clear about, though, is there isn't an absolute relationship or nexus between this fare increase and what we ask for next year. But what there is a relationship to is if we do not increase the money going into Nashua Transit System, whether it be from the city or other sources, service will need to change long term. And it's a matter of figuring out how we're going to inject cash into our existing service. So I hope I answered your question directly, but offered some additional context maybe too.
Okay. Additional questions by members of the committee? Alderman Smith.
So before I do my question, just a comment. I've never used this service, but I knew about this. So it reached me through social media or something and through Facebook or whatever, so good job. When I read the information, I was like surprised that the cost and everything was so affordable and was wondering how you were able to keep functioning. So I'm glad that you are here. Question, can you give me an idea, what is your ridership? What are the numbers?
Last year, there were approximately 390,000 boardings on the fixed route service and combined with the demand response service.
And what are like the peak times of service? Is it Monday through Friday, weekends?
Saturday service and Friday service is not usually the highest ridership. The peak service is usually midweek, and it's mainly in the time of the day that the cars are out as well, trying to get to work and school and different locations. And also the medical appointments we have found are greater in the evening on the van service. Used to be people get up early in the morning, get on the van and go and be out all day. And now people are sleeping in and going a little bit later in the day. And with the fixed route service, we see about 15, 20 people at the transit center in the morning ready to board the 6 o'clock a.m. bus.
Thank you.
Follow-up?
Follow-up question, please. I heard you say that basically, of course, this fee increase is not necessarily something that's going to help you meet all of your financial needs. So one of my question has to do, have you considered expanding the service on the Friday and Saturdays where you say your ridership is usually down? Have you considered expanding the service so that it's taking individuals maybe different places they want to go? I know we don't have a thriving, hustling, bustling bar downtown, but, is there a service that takes people to the Casino 1 or Casino 2 or some sort of loop? Has that been considered as a possibility for income?
The casinos that I'm aware of are along the city bus routes, and the service ends at 10:45 at night. We have had a few requests to extend about an hour, but no requests to extend any further than that.
One interesting part of NTS service, if you compare it to the MBTA or something more in a more urban environment, is that we reach points of diminishing returns when we're providing certain service. Meaning, well, I'm sure you know what I mean. We also think that there are times where it would be great to have additional service, but what we find is that surprisingly, the cost of providing that service and staffing that service does not pay for itself. And so, because it's not just the driver, it's someone dispatching and the person cleaning the bus when it returns. And so we've had the same thoughts, but I will just say we are going to be talking to the Board of Aldermen and this committee about the Nashua Transit System comprehensive plan that we're working on. And what's in there that's, I think, of interest maybe is that we've looked a lot at if we were to get a magical grant, a massive grant to expand service, what would be our order of priority list for Sunday service, expanded nighttime service, going to alternative locations in Hudson, going to somewhere in Merrimack? we've kind of prioritized those as far as what are, à la carte options moving forward. But unfortunately, all of them represent additional investment in more fleet and more operational hours. And so I guess I'm giving you a long answer to your question, but we've looked at those, but they unfortunately are often diminishing returns.
Thank you.
Further questions by members of the committee? Alderman Clay.
I'm not a member, but I do have a
Yeah, I
question.
just
comment.
recognize you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. First off, I remember when we had that shortfall because we didn't have drivers and we didn't have things and we had to start cutting services and so on. And I know what chaos, and you guys worked through it amazingly. The idea of reducing services kind of gives me that gut feeling. And I remember people coming in tears and please don't lower this and don't lower that. And we went through COVID and we went through all these things. So there are people that are so dependent on it. And I know we have people here in the public that will give comment that are so dependent on it. I can't see. I remember you having to change a bus stop here or there, and that you would work with different people that called so that you could make sure you could find ways of getting them where they had to go. So you guys do an amazing job. I look at this and say it was 18 years from the first to the last, and then 14 years from the 2012 to 2026. That's a long time to go without this. I also know that a lot of the people that are riding you have financial issues, but at the same time, we can't put everything on hold because of this. So I would rather see a fare increase, and I think you guys have been very thoughtful about it, adding the number to the book and giving the monthly plan and so on. So I think you've been very thoughtful in all of it, and I really do want to hear from the public, but thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you very much. Couple of questions here. Well, Alderman Smith asked my question about the number of ridership, so that answered me. How come there's no changes to Merrimack and Hudson? I mean, they're not getting a fare increase, right? Why wouldn't you kind of put it more on them a little bit out of Nashua?
The current fare for Hudson and Merrimack is higher than the fare in the city of Nashua, and they went up a while ago, but not 14 years ago. And so just in looking at the fare increases in general, we contract service with the town of Merrimack, the town of Hudson, and SVTC, and they provide a match to the federal funding in addition to SVTC actually paying for 100% of the funding with a grant that they apply for. So right now, we are just looking at the Nashua Transit System fare, and because the other has been looked at in the past.
May I just-
Follow up?
Sure.
I just have a,
Yeah,
if
go
I may
ahead,
add,
Mr.
Mr.
Sullivan.
Schlichter. So the way I think about it, we have actually fairly closely kept up increases with those towns in what we charge them. There's a detailed methodology that Camille and Louise at Nashua Transit do to determine what the rate should be for those communities. So we had a substantial increase in the rate with SVTC, I want to say 3 years ago or so. So Alderman Johnson, we have actually made changes to those contracts already. We've been hesitant, I think, to make changes to this fare because of the recognized broad impacts to Nashuans. But those towns, because they're contracted services and SVTC, frankly, we've changed fare more often. We've changed the cost of providing that service more nimbly to response to the operational expenses associated with them.
And can I do my follow-up?
Follow up?
Thank you very much. When I look at the fare increase, going from $1.25 to $2, that's 75 cents, and some of them is 50 cents. That's not where it bothers me as much as it bothers me, when you're going from, although you're getting 10 rides, but they're really 5 rides, right, and some of them? it's going from that 20 to 30, that $10, sometimes that might be harder than that 50 cents or 75 cents. When I see that, although they're gonna get more rides in a way, but it's that money putting it out, does some of the people have that extra $10? That's what my concern is when I look at this.
I hear what you're saying, and that's the reason why they have two options. One is to pay an individual ride,
Right.
and the other is to pay the tickets. And then the third option would be in regards to the adult fare and reduced fare, the monthly pass. But yes, the two options would still be there, the individual ride and also buying a book of tickets.
Can I
Follow up?
Yes, please. And I see that, but when I'm looking under ADA and the senior non-medical, that's where you don't have those monthly passes. Sure. That's where I guess my concern comes in, because, I mean, when you look at some of the seniors, medical and non-medical, and even under ADA, some of them are on such fixed incomes that $10 could mean a lot to them. And so that's where my biggest problem lies. Everything else, it's not to say that it's not a problem, but 50 cents, I could see with the trips, but that adds up also, if they have to take it more than once. There was something else I was going to say that we all know that when you have mass transportation, if you look at Boston, you look at New York, it's always a losing proposition. You're always trying to catch up because you're falling behind with the fares and the ridership. I mean, I grew up on mass transportation, and every time I turned around, my bus fare went up in New York, or my train fare went up on the express bus, and you don't make enough, you're not getting that increase sometimes to catch up with those fares that are going up, because you never catch up, really. It's mass transportation. That's just my opinion, but knowing that what I have from what I grew up in, that's a long time ago, and I still have that New York accent, but it's a long time ago. But that's what I'm just concerned about, that, how are we going to make sure that people who are on that fixed income, and, Social Security went up like maybe 3%, but if the fare's going up 6%, and then your taxes, you're just in that losing proposition. And I understand why you need the increases. I just have to be able to justify this to make sure that people who need this can afford to pay for this, because if they can't, then you're no better off than where you are right now. Thank you.
I think the only, there's, and I know I'm going to regret opening this can of worms, but.
That's okay, go ahead.
No, no, and I don't disagree with a lot of what was said, and I think I agree with almost everything. The interesting thing, Alderman Johnson, is the whole idea of mass transportation being a losing proposition. I agree with you. It always struggles to keep up with its expenses. It's a reality. I think the way that I think about it, though, is I don't look at public transportation as a business. And that's my personal philosophy only. I look at it as a piece of infrastructure. And I look at it very similar to a piece of roadway infrastructure. We're not making money on roads. Those are certainly a losing proposition. They are a liability for the city. They are a necessary liability, unfortunately. And I'm not saying public transportation is a liability either, but public transportation is equal to the roadway network to somebody else. So anyway, that's just my sort of, I drink the public transportation Kool-Aid perspective, but mass transportation is very difficult to make the financial case for. At the same time, I think a lot of folks recognize, and you're absolutely in this category, that it is also necessary for some people. So it's a necessary losing proposition in some cases. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, any other? Seeing none. Alderman Gregg, I can't see you, but you're all set?
Oh, yeah, I'm just listening intently.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll close that information, and thank you for your presentation. I will ask if you can get a copy to our administrative manager, so it could be part of the record of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, I will now open up the public hearing on the proposed fare increase for the Nashua Transit System here in Nashua. First, we'll have testimony in favor. Are you in favor?
No.
Okay. Testimony in favor.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott McCullough. I live at 49 Congress Street, Apartment 6. And I would like to see down the road brand-new buses maybe with Wi-Fi on it to make it where you can Google and you can actually see where the buses are going down the road. Just an idea. Just an idea, and I'm in favor of the pay increase as long as it doesn't hurt my wallet, pretty much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Okay, well, un momento. Okay, I'll close the testimony in favor, and I'll open up the testimony in opposition. And that's, and your name and
Hi,
address,
good
please.
evening. My name is Rhonda, and I'm fairly new to the community, but yeah, I don't necessarily have something against, but I'm directly impacted because I use the Nashua Transit on a regular basis. And so thank you, because it is a very convenient service to be able to do whatever, whether you drive or not. I'm just thinking, I have lived and worked in other cities, and when I came to Nashua, I was like, wow, this is a little bit different. How come they charge for each individual ride and it's only $1.25, which is kind of low, like considering. So perspective from having lived in other major cities, it was different than what I'm accustomed to. And so not necessarily against a price increase, but looking at it, 75 cents per ride, coming from another city where you could buy a pass for the day, like an unlimited ride pass for $3, and you wouldn't pay for each individual ride. So it was kind of more convenient. Like, I can just get my pass for that day if I were going to use the transit and just go do whatever I needed to do and be done with it, instead of like each individual ride. So it was a different thing for me, coming from, again, a major metropolitan city. So that's really why I'm here, thinking it might be nice, perhaps, just throwing this out, to have like a daily ride pass. I know there's the monthly pass and the other passes for seniors, but it might also still help generate revenue. Maybe even, like, I'm accustomed to paying $3 and riding unlimited, and that's like a 75 cent, I think, still, not you, it's up to you guys, the price, but I'm just saying, from an outside perspective, it could be helpful to have just a daily pass, so you're not just paying like every single ride individually, and it's just kind of complicated. So that's just all I wanted to say.
Very good, thank you. All right, now I will again open up testimony in favor. For anybody else? Seeing nobody, I will close that testimony and open up testimony in opposition. Seeing no further input, the public hearing and the proposed fare increase for the Nashua Transit System, I will declare closed at 7:49 p.m. And we will immediately open up the regular meeting of the Committee of Infrastructure at 7:50 p.m. And first order of business is the election of the committee clerk. Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Alderman at large Gregg as the committee infrastructure clerk.
Okay. I'll accept any other nominations. Seeing none, Alderman Dowd, would you like to
I'd like
close?
to make a motion to close the nominations.
Okay. Nominations are closed. I will call for a motion to vote for the election of Alderman
You
Gregg.
gotta make 'em- you gotta, there's a motion.
Okay, yeah, I got to make the motion. Yeah, and that will have to, be by roll call. 'Cause-
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
and the closed nominations is the first motion we have to approve.
Okay, so we're going to go to the close, and it will be by roll call. So Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Yes. Alderman Johnson?
Yes.
Alderman Dowd?
Yes.
Alderman Gregg?
Yes.
And Alderman O'Brien votes yes. Okay, so the nomination of Alderman Gregg has been approved. Now we'll go to the motion to close nominations.
No, we just did the closed nominations. Now we're voting for Alderman Gregg.
That's fine with me. Let's move it along. Okay. I'll call by roll call for the election of Alderman Gregg for the Infrastructure Committee clerk, and Alderwoman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman Gregg,
Yes.
and the chair votes, Michael O'Brien votes yes. And this was excellent. Alderman Gregg, it seems like we like to do these things when you can't be present, so.
That's
I
what we
know,
did in
no
my
pressure
community.
to be there in person.
No, but,
I can't wait, honestly.
Congratulations, and when you feel better, looking for when you be able to join us again in person. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. I'll now open up to public comment. Anybody has anything that they would like to discuss? Okay, seeing not, I'll close public comment and open up discussions and presentations, and this will be proposed fare increase for the Nashua Transit System. And I will recognize again, if need be, Director Sullivan and Transit Administrator Camille Correa, but yeah, if you have
Mr. Chair,
additional.
we're going to do the whole presentation again. No.
I'm only following the script.
Thank you again, and thanks for the members of the public for comments. I'm going to ask Camille just to say a little bit of a note about Scott's Wi-Fi and bus tracking comment. But I would also just say to Rhonda, she's not here. We have looked very closely at particularly the Manchester $5 day pass option. We're thinking about it. There are some challenges with implementation, but it's something that we've looked very closely at. Camille talks to Manchester often, so it's very much on the table, not as part of this proposal right now, but we do recognize the efficiency and ease that a daily pass does allow for the rider. I would just say, in the event that we don't get an opportunity to speak again, we will be at the next meeting of the Board of Aldermen pending any significant public input or aldermanic input to talk more about a communication that will be on the agenda. But again, just thank you for your time, and I'll ask Camille to talk a little bit about technology.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott, for bringing up Wi-Fi. We are very close to moving forward with our Wi-Fi project. We started off with implementing new real-time bus software, which we've been working diligently on for several months, and also increasing the availability for people to be able to schedule their ride on our demand response service by implementing new software there. And with that being said, our next step is to open up the availability for people within the community to be able to access the real-time bus software once it is implemented. We are going into a soft rollout phase to make sure that that information gets to the rider apps so that people can see where the bus is located along the route. If they do own a phone, they'll be able to see that data through a transit app, the Google app, an Apple app. And in addition to that, within the near future, we will be working towards installing Wi-Fi on the city buses so that you'll be able to utilize your phone to be able to download that information. And also, you can use that Wi-Fi as well to download the tickets that you can purchase on the electronic fare media called Token Transit. And sometimes people can download the ticket, but they can't bring it up on their phone because they don't have a data package that is working at the time that they are boarding the bus. So we want to make sure that that's available to people as well. And we will be also putting up screens at the transit center so that you can see the departure time of a bus. and that should be happening in the near future as well. So we have a lot of things in the works all at the same time, and want to have those questions continue to happen so that we can get the word out, and we will be having great marketing plan coming forward soon so that everybody can see what's going on. So thank you very much, and thank you to our riders for having the patience to put that real-time bus out there in the near future. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question on the new fares. What happens if somebody cannot afford to buy the ticket book or the monthly pass? What happens to them then, if they're financially?
So just in the event that someone wants to purchase a monthly pass but does not have the financial means, they can't purchase a monthly pass. I want to be direct about that. We don't currently have a mechanism to subsidize the purchase. Again, unless they're a client of an agency that we work with or something to that effect, we don't offer discounts on regular adult fares other than the discounted categories we identified. I don't want to paint this way, but any discount or subsidy of that nature impacts the other riders, and so frankly, we've been really careful about trying to get the fare just right, recognizing we could lose a person or two along the way, but in the interest of trying to generally balance the fare increases for all the other riders. So if someone can't purchase the monthly pass, they're not going to be able to purchase the monthly pass. We don't start providing a discounted rate or handing those out in the event that's not possible.
May I follow up?
Follow up.
Okay, thank you. I'm just asking this because in case, with the whole discussion tonight,
yeah.
that, someone's going to say that they can't afford something, and we need to make sure we have this spelled out right now.
Sure.
That the fare's I know it's going to go up, whether I vote for it or not. I will venture to say the board will probably pass this, and I understand why, because you got to keep the transit buses going, because if you don't, it's going to impact more than just one or two people who might not be able to afford the fare, because people use this to go to work, the doctor's appointment, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to make sure that people understand that there is no type of financial help if you can't afford to buy the bigger books for a better discount, that you would just have to pay the one ride, each ride.
Correct.
And that,
Correct.
unless you're going to be using it a lot,
Yep.
then that would probably be the best option versus to buy the ticket book.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you very much for clarifying
Yeah,
this.
of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
may I?
yes.
Thank you so much. Two questions. One is on the real-time bus software. I know you're going to kind of go out slowly, which I think is a wonderful idea, but do you know when you're going to be starting that, or would it be like springtime, or would it be?
No, actually, that's a great question, because any day now, the software company is going to be rolling it out so that Google picks it up. And then once Google picks it up, then it takes several weeks until it gets into that real-time mechanism so that it becomes an algorithm that everyone can see. So we are to the point where we're ready to do real-time. Now it's a matter of having Google pick it up, Apple pick it up, as soon as our software launches that. So that should be any time now.
Thank you. And
Yeah, you're welcome.
one more
You
question.
may follow up.
Thank you. When I was looking and doing the math, maybe I missed something. When someone buys a book of 10, there's no real discount to it. It's just 10 passes at $3 each, which gives you $30. It just means that they don't have to buy a ticket every single time they get on the bus. So there's no discount to it. I just want to make sure that everybody understands. There's no discount for buying it in bulk. It just stops you from having to buy a ticket every single time you get on the bus.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that follow-up on the software update, Ms. Correa, could you have Director Sullivan, probably might be the best way, unless you want to come in, but to inform the board that that's active, or can we put it up, coming soon on the city website?
Absolutely.
So that we can get that information out there to the public.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Very good. Alderman Dowd.
You ready for the motion?
I'm ready for the motion.
Like, since it isn't a resolution, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the full board the recommendation of the Committee on Infrastructure to approve of the 2026 proposed National Transit System fare increase for the city bus, ADA paratransit, and senior demand response service.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Okay, I would just say this. What is it? Been 14 years since our last fare increase. I know it could be to some somewhat of a hardship, but we recognize that. But the 14-year-old, 14-year gap, inflation, we'll try to keep it, but this kind of makes sense. Fuel costs have gone up. We have some pretty nice looking buses, and we have, I just want to give to Ms. Correa that we got very good buses as far as there being hybrid buses, and, so they're operating on the cheap, so we're doing a good job as best we can. So to our good friends, I'm going to vote for this, but we understand. I hate increases, but sometimes you need them. So without anybody else, any comment? Seeing none, I will call for the vote.
Roll call.
Roll call, yes. And so we'll start with Alderwoman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman Gregg,
Yes.
and Alderman O'Brien votes yes, so the motion carries. Okay, and also here is an update on the exterior City Hall restrooms, but we have an agreement with Director Sullivan. Do you want to get into our agreement?
Yes, more data is needed. We have not had, we need a report at a later time to come back. So we're going to come back in March, working with Director Cummings' team and the risk management team. It sounds like he's going to do a parking garage update. So we're swapping out exterior restrooms for parking garages. But we'll be back to talk about it at a later time.
Sounds good. We
Thank
can
you very
expect
much.
that, so
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, Director Cummings, can you want to come up and join us?
I would love to. So yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was actually going to, Director Sullivan stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to ask us to swap out, unless you wanted to do it at general discussion, but I was hoping to this evening do it right now if possible.
Let's get it done.
Great, so, come on.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Alderman Johnson.
Yes, where the agenda was prepared, and this is being added now, is that acceptable, where it's not on the agenda, where we're swapping out instead?
I think it is.
It's
I
only
can,
informational,
actually,
it's not any
Alderman Dow, would
resolution.
you like to make a motion that the current guests to be able to speak and give us their presentation?
Well, it's no
Coming up
active-
after the agenda has been prepared?
I don't think we need that because there's no action to be taken on anything. It's just an information update.
Okay. I think I agree with that. It's just an update. Okay, Alderman Johnson?
Okay, I just want to make sure we're within the right to know law.
Believe me, everything I do is
I know.
legal. I'm a good Catholic
I
kid,
know,
yes.
you are, you're the best, Alderman O'Brien.
All right, Director Cummings, please.
Thank you again. For the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services, and with me to my right is Tim Lemire of GPI. He is the owner's project manager on the Elm and High Street parking garage repair and renovation project. So just to clarify a couple of things, we were going to do this during general discussion, but it did make sense to add this now to the discussions and presentations element of the agenda, since we are pushing out the update on the exterior City Hall restrooms. This is informational only. I asked Tim Lemire to join us to just give an overview or an update on this project. I know this is a project that the community is very much interested in. I know this body has an interest in it as well. So it had been a couple months since he's been before you, and he does go before the Finance Committee for approval of various financial expenditures. And so they do see him from time to time, but this group doesn't necessarily see him for that, so I thought it would be good just for him to give you a little bit of a state of where the project is at. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Lemire.
Mr. Lemire,
Hey,
welcome.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, and with some new members of the committee, this is a good time to go over what the project is, our phases, and where we currently stand. So on the presentation I have prepared for you, I just want to list out the work phases that exist on this project. So the first was a emergency structural repairs phase that was done in the winter of 2025, and that project will be closed out next month. So that'll be, the books on that should completely close within the next 30 days. Phase one is the work you currently see in the Elm Street and High Street garages. It involves a lot of the structural repairs, drainage repairs, and that is currently under construction, and it's about 40% complete. Phase two of this project is a renovation of the parking office in the Elm Street garage. The status of that is we're about halfway through the architectural design of that work, and we're hoping to go under construction around the 4th of July at the latest. Phase three, which is the last phase, and that is a facade wayfinding treatment of the High Street and Elm Street garages. And that is currently in, the schematic design is nearly complete, so we should be seeing some concepts from our designers shortly on that phase three project. Just to give an idea of the financial overview, and I'll be brief on this, but the phase one, the emergency repairs, was $121,000, and that was not funded out of the $15 million bond that the project was budgeted for. So that was something off on its own. What is in the $15 million bond is phases 1, 2, and 3. And those figures are presented above, with approximately 11.1 budgeted for phase 1, 2.8 million budgeted for phase 2, and an approximately 1.1 million budgeted for phase 3. And those do include all the soft costs and construction costs combined. Just a little bit more detail on what phase 1, 2, and 3 are, but phase 1, or where we're at really. The lighting upgrades, Elm Street lighting is complete, and I hope when you leave this evening you take a quick look and see how bright the parking areas are in the Elm Street garage. It's a significant improvement from the lighting previous to this project. And Elm Street, the lighting is just starting. So they did Elm Street lighting first, now the contractor's moving over to Elm Street to do the lighting there. Sorry, High Street, thank you. The stairwells in Elm Street are in progress, so you might see some intermittent closures of some of the stairwells while the contractor's performing some of the repair work there. And the lion's share of the work is the concrete repairs, and much of it is overhead repairs and of the structural components. So right now, High Street is 75% complete of all the structural repair work, and Elm Street is about at 65% complete. And another significant component of both garages is drainage, and all the rust and corroded drain pipes have all been replaced at this point. There's about 6 drains left to replace on High Street, and that work will be 100% complete for both garages. I just brought in a couple photos of on the left side is a concrete repair and with some electrical work being performed, and on the right side is the new red coated drain pipe. And on the left is some of the old lights, and on the right hand side is some of the new longer brighter lights that's currently in Elm Street. And like I said, you'll see the results significantly, especially right now, And on the left is an example of some of the rusted out drain pipes with some patch pipes installed on them and some joint tape on them. And then on the right is some of the new finished work of some of the drain pipes, and it's an impressive look. And that's currently at High Street, as it says. Phase 2, back to Phase 2 and the office renovation. This is a schematic sketch of the Elm Street office renovation and expansion. So right now, as I said, we're about halfway through the final design, and we're hoping to perform cost estimating services and look to getting into construction this summer. And Phase 3, back to Phase 3 in the wayfinding, we have been given some schematic ideas from our designer, and we hope to be getting some designs in place and some public outreach early to mid-spring, and possibly under construction for Phase 3 by the fall. So we're moving expeditiously on all phases. And that should be it.
And Mr. Lemire, when...
Because we do have a question by Alderman Dowd. May we?
Did they also update the lighting on the outside of the garage, the parking spaces along from like the bus transit down to Surf?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, not on ground level. The only exterior lighting that was part of this project was on the roof decks, where there was actually some inadequate lighting on the roof decks of the parking areas. But any other exterior lighting or any lighting like that will be considered in Phase 3.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you very much. You're talking about office renovations?
Correct.
Question is, what is the office being used for?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, if I may, the office right now is used to house the city's parking department employees. So they conduct all the permitting business, the enforcement business out of this Elm Street office. It's probably about 550 square feet of space, and not operationally feasible for them to continue out of that space. So Phase 2 was initiated to actually meet operational needs as described by parking.
Follow up?
Thank you. I wasn't here for the beginning of this, and I know at one time we had employees there because with the parking garage, there were employees that oversaw and watched the garage to make sure there was no problems. So this office is going to be renovated, expanded so the employees can stay in there. Is that basically what I'm kind of understanding? Yes, no? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, the director of parking, that's her office.
Okay.
Or will be her office.
Okay.
So she'll run everything that has to do with parking, not just the garages,
Okay.
the whole city. So it'll be the beginning point when people go out to supervise the parking, let's say on Main Street or something like that. This is their launch point,
Okay.
you know, and everything. So also citizens who do get fines or want to negotiate if they did get a ticket, this will be a place where they can come in and be able to negotiate, God willing, and see what happens. So, you know,
Okay.
yes.
Follow up, thank you. So now it brings it all into perspective and understanding what this office is going to be. And it's just one other thing. Are we going to have cameras around the buildings, around the parking garages and inside the garage? Because I know we had it one time, I just want to make sure we're going to, and who would be monitored?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to. Yes, the cameras in both garages were upgraded as part of this project, and that work has actually already been completed.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but who's monitoring the cameras? So if anything happens, you know, because that was a whole big thing when I was on the board the last time. We had cameras, but nobody monitored the cameras. So you have them. I guess that might be a question you don't want anybody to hear about right now, but I guess that's an important thing. If you have cameras up there, somebody has to monitor the cameras in case there's an emergency. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can answer that part. They are integrated into the city IT
Okay.
group. Now, who's on the other end, I couldn't say, but they are fully integrated.
May I follow up to Mr. Cummings?
Follow up.
I guess you're on the hot seat. You don't have an answer.
No, what's the question?
Who's monitoring the cameras?
So if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
Sure, thank you. So I do not want to speak in too much detail relative to how we maintain security here in the city for obvious reasons. I will say that not only the IT department, but the parking department has full access to the various cameras. We also don't want to send a message that we have someone sitting and just watching those cameras exclusively either, because that would be inappropriate. But what folks should know is those cameras are actively monitored, and recordings are in place, and if needed, we can pull footage to assist us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Cummings.
And also for your information, Mr. Lemire didn't mention it, but the garages are going to be gated, and we're a little ahead of the game, but there's other work that is pending and to come up, so
Thank you very much,
we
gentlemen.
could be ready
Appreciate
with
it.
that. Alderman Clegg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question on the stairwell closures, when you have to close those intermittently. Will people then have to just walk down the ramps? Is that the?
No, Mr. Chairman, no.
Okay.
When the stairwells are being worked on by the contractor, they will only do one tower at a time.
Okay.
So there will always
They have the
be
alternate.
one stairwell, and the elevator will never be closed.
Okay.
So there'll always be, at least be one stairwell and the elevator at both garages.
Follow up?
Yes, please, thank you. And that's what I figured, but I just wanted to make sure that the world hears that. The other question is the lights that, by the way, I've seen the lights just sitting here in the city parking lot. I've seen what seems like, I looked at the garage today and thought, it seems a little brighter. It wasn't even dawning on me that we had the new lights in there. But are these lights LED? Are they efficient lighting?
They are LED, yes.
And so they're more efficient lighting and
Correct,
so on.
yep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I think all projects will be going LED, like the streetlights.
Yeah, again, I asked that question for the public that's listening, so they know that we're trying to do everything we can to save energy and so on, because it's going to be much brighter in there, and people should feel safer. Thank you.
Did you have a question, Alderman Smith?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
My question has to do with the emergency repairs, the 121K. Can you give us an idea about what those were, and if this part of that emergency repair, if that was something that was part of determining what the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 were?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, yep, I can answer that. So that repair project actually was components of phase 1 that were under design, but our structural engineer felt they could not wait until phase 1. So and an example of that was a stairwell tread was failing, so a new steel pan was welded on to the stairwells to repair that for a while. So in February of 2025, people may have noticed that the north stairwell of Elm Street was shut down for a short period of time. Another example was a expansion joint on the third floor ramp on the Elm Street garage that was also repaired at that time. So there were a few items that were deemed immediately necessary. They were performed and then de-scoped from phase 1 work.
Follow-up question? So one of the things that it appeared that that 121K was not part of the $15 million bond or whatever. So where's the funding coming for that? Emergency repairs.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. It's not part of the bond. I'm not directly aware of
Yeah.
how that project was
I can
funded.
speak to that.
Director Cummings.
Yes, thank you. So the city of Nashua has various funds and accounts that we can use. This particular project is being run through what we refer to as a capital project activity. And we funded it through bond, through a bond resolution, and we issued debt. To pay for the emergency repairs, That was funded through cash in a reserve account that we have for parking. And so we have a trust fund set aside for various parking-related expenses, and we drew down off of that to be able to do the project, to do those repairs ahead of time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Alderman Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keeping on that same note, Director Cummings, I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but I do remember when we came in for that emergency funding, that was it before the bond was actually fully approved? It was something that I do remember Alderman going up there and looking and so on and going, oh my God. And we were very concerned that there were some safety issues, and that's why we kind of pushed it through before the $15 million bond was approved. Am I correct on that?
100% correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would just like to reiterate with the newer members on the board, these garages were neglected by the city. You want to save money, spending caps and everything, but you don't have money to fix and repair your current infrastructure. I don't think we benefited the taxpayers, because when you had people such as the city engineer coming up and speaking to me and say, we're about this close to closing those garage as a matter of safety, where was the dollar amount saved in the big and larger picture? We've done good. We were able to save, and thanks to Mr. Lemire and company, be able to save this. They were ready to fall down. They have a lot of transient load with cars moving and everything on it. So we've done a good thing. We saved them. I think we're going to have a life expectancy of probably around 20 years. But I hope, I don't know, but I hope in the future, I'm not going to sit in this chair forever, but well, you know, but anyways, I kind of hope that the city will have this same attitude that we seem to positively have right now, to look at our current infrastructure and be good custodians of it and to maintain it in good structural health. Alderman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to ask a question off of what you just said. You're talking about the life expectancy of this garage, maybe 20 years. Was it 20 years before we need repairs again, or is it 20 years of the life? Because these buildings should last longer than 20 years. My house is 63 years old, and I've done the proper maintenance on it. So I can't understand, and talking about neglect, and we all looked at the pictures of the DPW garage over the neglect over all these years. So I can't understand, if we put in the regular maintenance into these buildings, that life expectancy should be longer than 20 years, because I won't be here maybe in 20 years. But I just want to make sure, what do they expect our life expectancy of that?
I'll refer to Director Cummings, but I pulled the number 20 out of the hat. So like I am not, even though, you know, I'm not an engineer, although I've been certified as far as the fire department, you know, as knowing my building construction, but I'll refer to the experts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services. So these garages should last us 50 years easily. We issued debt for 20. It's contingent upon the city of Nashua maintaining the assets and spending the appropriate amount of deferred capital maintenance annually to stay ahead of the corrosion and the salt and the wear and tear. That's something that we hadn't been able to do because of the spending cap, to be very frank and clear with everyone. We had limited funds, and if you want to point to the parking garage as an example, you can also point to the lack of paving that we did over the years here in the city that we had to catch up on, and that's what we're doing right now. We're catching up on years of neglect. What I would like to see happen, Mr. Chairman, and it's my recommendation to this body, is that somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 be set aside annually to be dedicated to be paying for the deferred capital maintenance or the city of Nashua needs to be prepared to issue a $1 million bond approximately every 10 years to be able to maintain the life of these assets. That's just good financial capital planning, and I would stress upon everyone here that we seriously look towards that since we did issue a $15 million bond, and we want to make sure that we can say we're good stewards of those funds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. We happen to know somebody who is chairman of the Budget Committee. Maybe we'll have a discussion with him on this.
You can be sure.
Throw you under the bus, Alderman Dowd. Yes, yes. Any further comments? Yes,
Yeah, I just
Alderman
wanted to,
Smith, Alderwoman Smith,
Yeah,
excuse me.
thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, was that Mr. Cummings, Tim Cummings, for that comment, because that was going to be my next question, is like, because I'm all about infrastructure. Yay, happy to be
Yeah.
on the committee.
Yeah.
And that was it. So what funds, I was gonna ask, what funds are we putting away so that we're not doing an emergency repair as we're trying to keep something from falling to the ground? And we need to do this for all of our projects, because we're making an investment in our city and in our community, and our residents are expecting us to make smart fiscal decision. A smart fiscal decision is to be prepared to do maintenance on a regular basis so that you can extend the life of the our infrastructure and things, and including Paula's house.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it doesn't stop here. We have a heating system in this building that I think somebody goes down and blesses it every day.
Elevators, too.
working on that.
Elevators.
I'm
We
working on that.
have the air conditioning, and, think about it. The heating system fails in this winter, what's going to happen? City Hall's going to shut down. That's catastrophic.
Yeah.
And again, it gets back to, couldn't spend the money to look and upgrade and everything else. So it seems to be a new attitude to what you brought up. And I think I myself, as long as I'm here, got to advocate.
Yes.
Because again, like to what Alderman Johnson said, if I didn't paint my house every couple of years, the clapboards would fall off. It's not a mystery, So infrastructure needs to be somewhat prioritized. And Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I would also add to that, we've had an issue lately of roofs.
Yes.
6 roofs on the fire department, a roof on the police station, and several schools. I will say that the city has done an excellent job over the years, as Alderman Johnson would know as well, being former finance director of the Board of Ed, that we've done a good job with our schools and kept up as best as possible with the amount of money that was allocated for deferred maintenance, and it's got better over the last few years. Otherwise, you end up like a problem like Manchester, where you have $1 billion school problem. I don't think anybody here wants that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Director Cummings, please.
There's also just one other point that I would suggest, and I'd ask this body to keep this in the back of their mind. This is an area where, if you so choose, this is a fee-for-service type of operation as well. And so if you were to charge the right amount of money to the users of this asset and to those who avail themselves to the service, you should be able to set some money aside and take it from there, as opposed to thinking it needs to be on the backs of the property taxpayer. That is a very common strategy that a lot of municipalities adopt. I would encourage us to go in that direction as well. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, moving along. I'll go into communications, which we have none. Petitions, we have none. Unfinished business, we have none. New business resolutions, we have none. New business ordinances, we have none. We do have one item that is tabled in committee that you see on the docket. However, that's not ready for prime time. That's still in litigation, I think, so it's not ready for us, but we're maintaining a slot on it. So as in the future, to the new members of the committee, you see it on there, we'll arrange it at a later date when it's time to discuss that. Okay, general discussion, anybody? Members of the committee and our guest? Okay, public comment? Not seeing anybody with us. And remarks by Alderman, which is like any discussion, but no. Okay, so therefore, Alderman Dow, do you have a motion?
That's our favorite motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn by roll call.
Okay, okay, Alderwoman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman Gregg,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Alderman O'Brien votes yes. I'll declare the meeting of Committee of Infrastructure closed at 8:31. I thank everybody for attending.